Vikings legend Cris Carter put J.J. McCarthy on blast on Twitter after yesterday's loss to Chicago Bears. So we're going to talk about it on today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome in. Also on the second half of today's show, I do want to show some love to the Vikings offensive line, as they were a big reason why the Vikings had a chance to win that game late in the fourth quarter. So show some love to all five of those offensive linemen. Let's just start off here with what first Emmanuel Acho tweeted out on J.J. McCarthy. So as we know, J.J., he struggled throughout the first 59 minutes of the game yesterday, but he did have that clutch late game, should have been game-winning touchdown drive against the Bears. And Acho, he was doing a film breakdown on the Jordan Addison touchdown where J.J. McCarthy held the safety with his eyes. Then he delivered a strike to Jordan Addison in the back left pylon. And he tweeted out, J.J. McCarthy got that clutch gene. Struggled all game, but this was nasty. And it was definitely nasty indeed. But then Cris Carter quote tweeted that, and he said, "Did you watch the first 59 minutes with a thumbs down?" Now, I am not getting up here and saying that J.J. McCarthy played good throughout the first 59 minutes. I think my younger sister could have realized that J.J. McCarthy was struggling through the majority of that game. But I just thought this was a low blow from a Vikings legend. Like, I understand Cris Carter, probably frustrated. He's still a diehard Vikings fan. He wants to see this organization reach that mountaintop and play some good football. So he sees a guy like J.J. McCarthy struggling. Obviously, he's not going to be a fan of it. But I think it was absolutely egregious to go out there and call him out on Twitter, because he understands guys like me will do a video about it. Other publications will write up articles about it saying Vikings legend Cris Carter puts J.J. McCarthy on blast on Twitter. Like, he has to understand that that is not good traction, at least in my opinion, around the young quarterback. So I'll give you guys more thoughts here in a second, because I'm also not saying Cris Carter was wrong by any means. I just thought this was a low blow. So you guys, let me know your thoughts. Was this a low blow from Cris Carter? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no. You guys, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I think it was. I also don't think it's that big of a deal. But you guys, let me know your thoughts. Was this a low blow from Cris Carter? Now, also, I'm not getting up on here and saying like, oh, Cris Carter, CC was, wrong by saying this. Like, he was not wrong. J.J. McCarthy was absolutely horrible yesterday against the Chicago Bears for a majority of that game until that final drive where he played some good football. He made some big-time throws. He was stepping up in the pocket well. He had that one clutch 4th and 4 completion to Jordan Addison where the Bears ran cover 0. He took a hit from the defender, and he delivered a strike. But also, J.J. was bad. But also, J.J. didn't get a lot of help yesterday. PFF was coming out with their drop total from this past week, and they accounted the Vikings with 6 drops yesterday. The second highest amount of drops the Vikings had in a game before that this season was 2. So you had 2 drops from Jordan Addison. Jefferson had a drop. Hockenson had a drop. Aaron Jones had a couple of drops. So clearly they weren't really helping him out, but that's also no excuse for McCarthy. He's got to be better. He understands this. And also Mike Sando, NFL insider, was kind of talking about the frustration that he saw from the Vikings wide receivers yesterday, saying this: the receivers are visually frustrated, and they're open all over the tape. All of Naylor, Addison, Jefferson, and Hockenson, that should be a Cincinnati offense. But all you hear from Minnesota about how rosy and great it is there, what I see is a QB who feels like he is really frustrating the play caller. And listen, there's no doubt like that vibes are low right now in the Vikings building. I'm just trying to get some more optimism out there, telling people to be patient, trust the process a little bit, because it is hard to do so considering you're coming off a 14-win season. Now you have this season, truly from hell here in Minnesota. So obviously vibes are low right now. And I also do agree with what Sando was saying. I'm sure Kevin O'Connell was furious going back and watching the tape. They had guys running wide open. I went and watched back the tape earlier this morning. It was bad. JJ was flat out horrible throughout the first 59 minutes, but he's 22. He's a young quarterback. He is going to have games like that. And listening to KOC's press conference today, he kind of seemed defeated. He seemed deflated. Just energy was low, and very rightfully so. It should be. Like, that was a must-win game for the Vikings at home against a team that Kevin O'Connell has completely owned. Like, now he is 6-2 against the Bears I think he is 6-2 in his NFL career as a Vikings head coach against the Bears. So he has had some success there, but he just seemed defeated. But there is one thing that I thought was pretty interesting from KOC. He said this, saying, we want to make our fans proud and try to go 1-0 every week. And I don't know if he's got this instinct and almost a politician vibe to him where, like, he'll get me excited for the rest of the year, because I am excited. I want to see how this team will respond with it facing a bunch of adversity, which they are. But KOC also made some comments on J.J. saying he's made of the right stuff. He's going to keep working at it. We're going to go back to work and continue to find every avenue to help build the consistency to his mechanics. And then I firmly believe the accuracy will come from that. So KOC kind of speaking to the process there. And, this season is definitely not lost. Now, maybe our playoff hopes are lost, but you can still find out a lot about Kevin O'Connell and J.J. McCarthy throughout the last 7 games, because this season really does come down to J.J. McCarthy developing. Can he give this organization, this coaching staff, and this front office enough to believe in him moving forward? And, listen, just take it 1 week at a time here, because you got the Packers next week. You're on the road in Lambeau. You're 6-point underdogs. I expect that line to maybe even creep up to 7.5. But the Packers, they got their own problems going on. They lost Tucker Kraft for the year. Josh Jacobs probably won't be out there. Jordan Love is having a typical Jordan Love season where it's just up and down all over the place. So just take this 1 week at a time. You beat the Packers? All right, let's see what happens. Then we'll go play the Seahawks. Like, you truly never know. Like, what if the Vikings kind of have a 2023 Packers season where they were 3-6, went on a run late in the year, won 6 out of their last 8, got the 9-8 on the season, then they went to Dallas and won a big-time playoff game. But it was also Tom Brady. He had some interesting quotes on J.J. McCarthy in the first half. These are just 3 that I found. Talking about just different throws he had. He said, that one, I don't know. And then he said, I don't know about that one either. That one needed more arc. It kind of felt like Brady was wanting to do almost a justice to his to the Michigan quarterback, where obviously he played, and he kind of felt a little bad calling him out. So there was no doubt J.J. McCarthy did not play good yesterday. He struggled, but again, I just didn't like Cris Carter calling him out. I just don't think a legend in this organization should be tweeting about a kid after making his 5th career start. Maybe I'm defending J.J. too much, but that's just truly how I felt about it. Now, if you guys could hit that subscribe button today. I'm trying to reach our next milestone of 67.2 thousand subscribers. We were just 70 subs away from that milestone. So if you guys are brand new here, want to help me out, want to make me look good for my bosses here at Chat Sports, go down there, hit that subscribe button today. Just need 70 of you guys to hit that sub button. So hit that subscribe button today. All right, we'll talk about the offensive line here in a second, but I got to tell you guys about one of my favorite sponsors here, and that is Factor Meals. Now, if you guys could, head to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off and use code VikingsChat50 off to get 50% off your first box, plus free breakfast for 1 whole year. Now, the fall season always feels like a reset. Between back to school, busy routines, and shorter days, finding time to cook can be tough. That's why I love Factor. Their chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals make it easy to stay on track and enjoy something comforting and delicious no matter how hectic the season gets. Now, here covering the Vikings at Chat Sports, work a lot of longer days, don't always feel like making a home-cooked meal when I get off work every night. That's where Factor Meals has came in and has completely changed my life. And they got more variety and more meals. You guys can choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. So head over to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off and use promo code VikingsChat50 off to get 50% off your first box, plus free breakfast for 1 whole year. That's code VikingsChat50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box, plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals with Factor. Now, this offer is only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. All right, so obviously a lot of negative out there in the Vikings world, specifically around the quarterback, specifically around the offense, but there's one bright spot, and that was the offensive line yesterday. I thought they were absolutely amazing. And, we could start off talking about them on the ground. I thought they really asserted themselves. Like, you felt the Vikings finally, for the first time this season, getting downhill. Now, I would have wished Kevin O'Connell would have leaned more into the run yesterday, but obviously with the Vikings getting down, he wanted to kind of lean more into the pass, which is obviously his calling card, but still, 22 carries, 115 yards, 5.2 yards per clip. I wish they ran Jordan Mason a lot more yesterday. Kind of felt like he is a good stuff, or even get Aaron Jones the ball more. Just little things like that where I think the Vikings offense, can lean more into this run game, because it is starting to look like a good unit. They're just not utilizing it as much. But the PFF grades from the offensive linemen yesterday, flat out amazing across the board. I don't really remember the last time we had 5 offensive linemen for the Vikings grading out collectively as well as they did. Like, Christian Darrisaw had a very good game, 70.2 overall grade. Solid in the pass block, solid in the run block. Donovan Jackson had a good game. Blake Brandel really making a name for himself at the center position, 76.8 overall, 75.2 in the block, or run block, 78.2 in the pass block. Then even Willie Fries had his best game of his Vikings career, 77.8 overall grade. And then Brian O'Neill, he posts out good grades every single week, just the definition of consistency at that right tackle position. But I will say one huge bright spot, how about Donovan Jackson, man? he looks like a home run pick. I mean, obviously, you selected him at pick number 24. You had a huge opportunity to move back with teams trying to trade up and potentially get a quarterback. We saw the Rams trade up. We saw the Giants trade up, but they wanted to stick and pick, and they drafted the guard out of Ohio State, and he looks like a home run pick. So tip my cap to Donovan Jackson. Was battling through that wrist injury early on in the year, elected to go get surgery, and he has came back in the last 3 weeks. Like, he looks like one of the better guards in football. So I think this is a huge positive. Him and Christian Darris on the left side of the offensive line are two huge building blocks moving forward. And, I kind of want to wrap today's show up with this. I am excited to see how a AOC and a Kevin O'Connell team fights for the remainder of the season, because this year you're 4-6, you're probably not going to make the playoffs. But this is a chance for this team and this coaching staff to see really what they're made of. Like, can KOC keep this locker room bought in? Because in the past, like, hey, you won 13 games his first year, you won 14 games his third year. It's kind of been all sunshine and rainbows. But now it's just stormy clouds. It is not good. You are truly living in the darkness here as a Minnesota Vikings team and as a fan. So I'm just excited to see how this team's going to respond, how this team is going to battle, and that starts with the head coach and the rest of the guys on the roster. Because one positive play I loved yesterday was when Justin Jefferson was blocking his tail off on that Jordan Mason touchdown run. That kind of speaks to still, even though things aren't going wrong, these guys are still balled in. So we'll see how they play this. They want to take it week to week, and I'm just excited to see how a Kevin O'Connell team really does fight and responds when everybody's selling their stock in them. Nobody believes in this team. Probably not going to be the playoffs, but can you finish out this year strong? That'll come down to your head coach, Kevin O'Connell. Now, if you guys could, give me a skull down below in the comments section if you guys still love the Minnesota Vikings. Tough year, no doubt about it, but I still love covering this team, and, there's always something going on with this football team. So if you guys could, hit me with a skull down below. We'll get on out of here. As always, let's go Vikes.